Well, hello, old friend. We are back once again with Modern Era Doctor Who episodes that I don't already have reviews up for. It's Overdue Doctor Who Review! I think I might finally be getting used to saying that. I did okay that time. So, we are up to Dalek. So, this one, many people regard as the best show, the best episode of Series 1. Some people even regard it as one of the best episodes of modern Doctor Who, period. And it is really good. It has this reputation for a reason. On the rewatch, though, I found myself surprisingly underwhelmed with a couple of key elements. Now, I want to say a couple of things before I get into this. One is, it's possible that in some ways my opinion has diminished because I've now listened to the Big Finish audio drama Jubilee, which this is more or less adapted from, or at least significant portions of it are, and is written by the same writer, Robert Sherman. So, having now basically gotten the full version, because Jubilee is about 2 hours long, versus kind of the Cliff Notes version, that it's possible that that's tainting it, but I think there's something else at play here. But I'm going to come back to that, because let's stick to the good stuff. First of all, in terms of reintroducing the Daleks for the modern era, yeah, job totally accomplished. They are given the weight that they should have. This Dalek is dangerous. It is methodical. And interestingly enough, I actually watched this with my partner Liz, who I'm slowly getting into Doctor Who. Not front to back. I'm kind of curating a playlist of episodes for her. So that this one we watched together. And so this was her first encounter with the Daleks, and she said something that I'm not sure I had thought of, but I was like, yeah, you're right. And she was like, it's kind of more terrifying the fact that it doesn't move quickly. And she's not wrong. It doesn't have to move quickly. It's still going to get you, and it's still going to kill you. So I thought that was cool. But she understood why it was scary, and it was nice to get an outside perspective. Because another thing she said was, when I first saw it, I'm like, really? But then by the time the episode was over, she was like, no, I get it. So I think that's what this episode does really well. It doesn't shy away from the ridiculous. You have Adam call it a pepper pot. You have somebody make fun of the sucker. You have, it can't go all upstairs. And all of this is slowly dismantled over time as you see the scope and the capabilities and the deadliness of this thing. As it's all unfurled over time. It's not all of a sudden, it starts killing things, because then it would just be a ridiculous looking pepper pot that kills things. Like, no, what it is capable of, it keeps ramping up as the whole story moves forward. So it makes it, I think, a really brilliant way to reintroduce the Daleks into the modern era, and in front of an audience that by and large may have been aware of them, that they existed. I think especially in the UK, because the Daleks were such a cultural touchstone for a long time. But pop culture hadn't taken the Daleks seriously in a long time. But this is really well handled and really well treated. So, and I think that's the ultimate triumph of this episode, is selling the Dalek and the Daleks as a race, by extension, for a modern audience. It does that phenomenally well. And the redesign is really good. It's incredibly evocative of classic Dalek design. You would not mistake it for anything else, and yet it is a little bit different. It is a little bit updated. It feels it feels like it has a little more weight to it. There's the lights on the side aren't just bumps. There's they're more distinct, they're more pronounced. There's a little bit more texture going on some of it. It's a nice update without being a complete and total redesign. So I really appreciate that. Rose does really well this episode. It's very interesting how, she's been traveling with the doctor for a little bit, but she doesn't know what this thing is because the doctor hasn't told her about them. The doctor wouldn't have talked about these things. He's not ready. He's still dealing with the trauma of the Time War. So she doesn't know what this thing is capable of, what this thing is like when she gets near it, when she touches it. So that's played pretty well because that could have come across as a companion being very stupid, which can tend to annoy me. But it's all very believable here under the circumstances. So that all works really well. Adam Mitchell, as crap as he is as a companion in the next episode, I don't want to dwell too much on that because I'll talk about that when I get there. He plays well with Rose, and it's understandable why they would give it a go at bringing him along. That makes sense based off this. But for some of the other stuff, Van Straten as a character is fine. He's functional. But I think that's one of the areas where I might be a little bit biased, having now listened to Jubilee, because the characters that they have in Jubilee instead of Van Straten, the president of Britain, and some other things going on there, they have a depth to them that I think Van Straten just lacks. Van Straten just kind of is what he appears to be. And I'm not sure he could have been done any deeper in something that isn't a two-parter. But, he's functional. He is there to be what he's meant to be. And he's well cast for that kind of obnoxious American business type. So, he works fine. But he's not a particularly memorable or amazing guest star. Oddly, what I found myself thinking was that there was something a little off about Eccleston and Eccleston's performance in this. Not always. Sometimes it really works. I think when he's talking with Van Straten, what's the nearest city? Salt Lake City. Population 1 million. All dead. When he's doing that, when he's trying to explain it to him, that works really well. His scene with the Dalek itself, there's something. The only thing I can come up with is artificial. There's something very, well, not very. It's not over the top as an element, but there's something ever so slightly actory, for lack of a better term. What I've really loved about Eccleston in this role is there is a naturalness to his performance. And I don't necessarily mean in terms of that's how real people talk. I mean whenever he speaks, it just seems to flow very easily out of him. This is just what this person would say. Here, it much more feels like somebody reading lines. Especially his scene with the Dalek itself and his turns in his mood at having seen it. And there's nothing wrong with what's being written or even the emotions that he's playing, but there's something about the transitions through them that feel artificial, that feel like an actor who maybe was having a little trouble figuring out, okay, how do I get from this line to this line? There has to be a shift and I'm not quite getting it. Speaking as someone who's worked on stage and has had times where I've had lines, I'm like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to get from here to here? This doesn't make, and you work with a director, you work through rehearsals or whatever else, but that's for a play. When you're on a TV shooting schedule, you only have so much time to work the material. And I'm presuming, and this is based off the performance. And again, it's not bad. It's all good, but there's just something ever so slightly not clicking. And usually he can't click in this, but there's something about the extremity of the emotions, and they don't feel like they're coming from the place of sincerity that he usually seems to be pulling from. And maybe it's because, the idea of what the Time War was and what went on was very abstract. I mean, it's still pretty abstract, but then even more so, maybe he just couldn't latch on to something solid enough. But yeah, I don't know. And I feel really bad saying it. I'm sure, I have a feeling a ton of people are going to disagree with me. Like, what? What are you talking about? It's the best thing ever when he yells at the Dalek. Why don't you just die? And all that. And look, these are good moments. None of this is wrong, but it's just, to me, something's off. Just a little bit about the performance in those moments. I don't know. But coming off of that, it's still a very good episode. It is undoubtedly one of the best episodes of Series 1. It definitely is. And it's also got great music. The track, The Lone Dalek, I really, really love. It came this close to making my top 10 tracks by Murray Gold. So that's a really great piece of music. And it's just a good episode. It's a good, solid episode. And I don't mean to bang on it, but this is the first one where I've come in and watched it again. And it's not as good as I had in my head. And maybe that's the reputation of the thing working against me. Maybe that's me building up the memory of this episode in my head too much. But yeah, what I had in my head, it wasn't quite there, which makes it oddly disappointing without it being the episode's fault. So maybe the problem's me. I don't know. But in any case, Dalek, still a fantastic episode of Series 1, but I've now just spent a little while basically kind of slagging off one of the most beloved episodes of the new series, certainly of Eccleston's run. So comment sections should be fun. In any case, folks, what do you think about Dalek? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do, such as, I don't know, buttons and the Patreon link and links to other stuff. Check them out if you're feeling up to it. Remember, you're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.